Nice.
I think I got it from email sent to me from Leonard.
He put the rest of my granddaughter last night.
He put the rest on her.
You're the only one on the force that didn't done
Just
my
kidding.
neighborhood this
He
morning.
was out there at that Brandon.
No, I was through your
My
neighborhood
son-in-law.
about 4:30 this morning.
Megan come right
Down
by
there across
her.
from
You
me.
getting it stopped at that right now?
8 of them there, I counted.
Should only be 2 of ours.
Well, I don't know, but there's, I saw state police and local.
Yeah.
Just tell the policeman what his skinhead.
Well, I got up this morning,
I
I
can't
saw
think
a
of
vehicle, and I thought, somebody had card
Yeah.
for us, first thing I saw. Then
I
I
just
went to town and got a paper and come back.
It's about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I say, cut her short, and beard, the whole thing. The beard grows faster
When I
than
left,
hair.
it was 8 of them.
Yeah. I've noticed right here, it grows faster than anywhere else on my
I
head.
thought I saw
It
that.
does.
Was Randy telling you that?
I think everything's just trying to drop down.
I thought it looked like he was, maybe it was.
Nothing you know of.
Shouldn't have been the
Well, it
only
wasn't him then.
DEA agents.
This is a bad story, but it's still kind of funny. You know how people walk up to a casket and say, boy, he sure looks nice. Well, his wife said,
Okay, at this time, we'll call the October
We just got out of
4th
the
county
hospital.
council meeting to order. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You didn't take your day, huh? You didn't take your day, the day for the pledge.
Did you kneel or did you stand?
I stood.
Held his hand up.
This time, we're gonna jump down to John Myers, Wilton County RC Investments LLC and LLM Enterprise LLC. John?
Okay, thanks, Jim. Yeah, so I put together packets that I think Janet provided to you. I've got 2 different projects where the companies are asking for tax abatements on some new construction. The first project is the Whitley RC Investments. I have with me Mr. Joe Battaglia, who's one of the principals of the company. As you may be aware, I know at least some of you are, Joe's worked with the Redevelopment Commission for a number of years. In this particular instance, built a spec building along with the Redevelopment Commission out at the Rail Connect Business Park. We've had that spec building available for a little over 2 years, I think we decided, Joe. And we now have someone who is interested in that building. Joe's been very diligent in working, trying to get the costs down to the level that of rent that the company has in their budget to pay, and trying to not only build out the building to meet their specifications, but then also get at least and basically get the spec building off the books of the Redevelopment Commission. So it's really really good for everybody. It's good for the company because they needed to expand quickly. We had the spec building available. Good that we're getting at least, and like I said, good that we're finally getting somebody in that building. So we're here today asking for 10-year phased-in tax abatement for the additional construction that will be done to build out the property and make it to meet the needs of the company. So currently, I think the assessed value in the buildings, I forget what it was like 1.7 million, I think. Yeah, so we're already having, already have $1.7 million in assessed value on the building. This will be another, a little over $2.3 million in assessed value that will be added on top of that. So, not only the see that casual taxes coming from all of the folks, the new folks that are working there, but then additional real estate taxes that will be coming on the property going forward. So I guess I tried to lay everything out in the memo, but you never know. If anybody has any questions or anything, I'd be more than happy to take my best shot at answering them.
The redevelopment commission reviewed this, approved of it, and recommend the 10-year tax abatement. It's, the redevelopment commission, in a sense, is a partner with Joe in this, and so we're happy to see it get done, and it's gonna produce a goodly number of quality jobs, and keep the company in Whitley County, so we'd recommend that.
And I'd add too, and I think I mentioned this here, in case I didn't, because of the extra property there and the fact that Joe engineered this building to be built out further, it really sets us up well to get additional expansion, more jobs in the future, because the company recognizes the value of this particular location because they can add on fairly inexpensively.
Any other questions for John on this?
I move to approve this abatement.
Second.
Okay, we have first and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All of them opposed to say.
Thank you, Joe.
Anybody have any questions for Joe? Getting back to work.
So this work is gonna be started shortly?
Now that we have the approval of the council.
Yeah.
I think the idea is to have this in place and ready to go for the company by March 1 of next year, so Joe's gonna be moving pretty fast here as soon as he walks out the door.
Because I read that, there's a lot of work to be done.
Okay, and that was for resolution number 2016-11.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The second project, and again, this is the holding company for this real estate is LLM LLC. And again, local company, Mr. Aaron McClure here from AJ Machine. And we've actually we're just talking about this. This is a project we've been working on really since, I think, probably about a year now altogether. But Aaron's company, again, would like to build a new building here in Whitley County. In this case, I don't know if you're familiar with the property just to the west of Page's Crossing that was owned by the Brethren Church for a number of years. They talked about putting a church up there. So again, Aaron is now working with the redevelopment commission to purchase that property and get everything in place to build a new facility. Again, value probably around $1 million before it's all said and done. I guess luckily for him, he's been kind of bursting at the seams in terms of having had plenty of work, and this will allow him to, again, not only expand to meet his current needs, but then sets him up for future growth as well because of the extra real estate that's available and room for expansion. Really, it's just really good jobs. Aaron's one of several companies here in town, which I didn't really think about till I took this job. We have several companies that really do a lot of work that kind of set up manufacturers and help manufacturers be able to measure what they're doing, check their quality, actually create the tools that helps the manufacturers make the things that they do. And again, we have several companies in that space, and again, Aaron's just one of those companies that's been growing from day one, I think. Again, good paying jobs, and again, asking for a 10-year phased-in tax abatement for this $1 million construction project. And again, I tried to write it all out, but if anybody has any questions, we'd be more than glad to.
And I think, I'd like to say, as far as redevelopment, we approved this abatement also, and we're proud to have A&J in our community, and hopefully more expansions coming.
And once you get your construction in place on it, and you go through the hiring process, is your company veteran-friendly in your hiring process?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I move we approve the abatement.
I'll second.
We got first and second. Any further discussion? If not, all them in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same. And that's resolution number 2016-12. Thank you,
Thank you.
and good luck.
Step out if you guys need anything, just send something over to them. Thanks again.
Good luck.
At this time, we'll ask Sheriff Gatton to come up. Death benefits before your retirement.
Brought one copy. The only changes are the bold letters in that paragraph. Right now, the way the current retirement is stated for the deputies in the merit system, if a deputy is not currently married and dies, is vested or not invested in the pension plan and dies, no beneficiary can be named. That paper right there is just changing it that they can leave it to one beneficiary at the end of. It's a reduced rate, but they can leave them some kind of money. Right now, got a couple guys that are on one that is vested completely over 20 years that's not married. If he would die, his money stays with the plan and nobody benefits from it. So what I'm asking to do is change it that he could be, since he's not married, because it was written back when it says spouse and only spouse. Now it can be left to one beneficiary, like I said, at a reduced rate. All I'm asking for approval is to change it in case something unfortunate would happen to one of the guys, that they can leave a partial of their pension to one beneficiary.
Mark, does that mean relation or non-relation, or just don't matter?
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
They can leave it to a church or whatever. Huh?
He can name whoever.
Yeah.
Did Dan prepare that?
Dan didn't prepare it. It's the same as the one that was prepared and approved before, other than those three bold letters. It was already presented to the merit board by Stan Brown from American One and McKee and Crean that manages the account. The merit board already approved it to bring to council for your approval.
That's important to know that. Yeah.
So what I'm asking for is a signature, the approval and a signature, and I have a merit board meeting Thursday, which then I'll get it signed and it'll be put.
That's consistent with other counties?
I still like to see one of us get on the merit board.
How can I put it? It's becoming a trend that direction. All the old way it used to be written was just for spouse only. But like I said, once that money, if something would happen to you, that money never left the account.
That kind of makes sense to me. If that person's been a part of that plan all these years, then have it just go away, it doesn't.
Move we
make
approve
sense,
the
really.
request.
I'll second.
Your first and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed to say.
Bruce, need your signature on that last page. Thank you.
You are, sir. Okay, Amy,
I say we'll see you next month.
additional
I
funding
say we'll see you
request?
next
Yes, I'm
month.
here to ask for additional
No, we
appropriations
could.
for the institutional care fund. This is under the commissioner's budget, that the amount, the institutional care covers detention costs for juveniles who need to be placed outside of the home. This year, the fund is budgeted at $70,000. In the past, it's been between $100,000 and $150,000, but it was cut this year. We have already surpassed that $70,000 of detention costs, so I'm asking for an additional $30,000 to cover the rest of the year for detention costs.
Commissioners have approved this, gave it a favorable pass to the council.
Looks like you're gonna need the full amount.
We will need additional 30, I would assume.
Can you find it,
Gone
Jenna?
through 70,000. I'm not sure what the budget is for next year as well, do you know?
Well, CADJET is now for next year going into county. Doing the work.
Last year, I think it was funded at 50,000, and we came back and asked for an additional 50,000, we were granted that, so it did take us $100,000 last year, so that's what we're back asking for the additional to finish the year out. So I just want to make sure that if we can budget high enough for next year.
It's at 70,000 again. It stayed the same.
Which fund is it coming out of?
CADJET.
Second. Okay. Paula, second.
Okay, got first and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same. Amy. Dan? Ariel?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're seeking permission to do our aerial photography flight. Also inform you how the GIS is going. A couple years ago, 2015, we contracted with Photometry to fly in the spring, and the weather just didn't cooperate. They flew. The aerials did not meet our standards. Therefore, they did give them to us, and they were nice, but not good enough. So what happened was, in this past spring, they flew again. This time it met our standards, and we have very good photography. In the meantime, the state says, hey, you know what, we're going to fly the east side of the state as well in 2017. Where that came from, I'm not real sure, because I knew they were debating it a couple years ago, but never gave us a solid answer until just last year when I found out they were in 2017. Well, with that, the ortho product comes to with a really nice price tag for us, because the state federal government was kicking in on this flight, and the total cost to Whitley County would be $20,234.91. Now, that's a heck of a deal for ortho photography. What's that cost usually, the whole thing? I'm sorry.
When they fly like that, what's the total cost for something like that with what the
Well,
state pays?
It varies. They're in the millions of dollars for the entire state.
I mean, like for us.
Oh, for us?
Yeah.
In this case, it would have been to buy up to the 6-inch photography, or the 6-inch ortho product, would have been $30,377.71. That goes all over the place. It's kind of interesting when you start dealing with aerial firms. So it depends on what you get, and it depends also on the flight is. They flew in 2012, and we received those aerials as well. They came to us very, very good. Wolpert as a company contracted with the state. So After seeing the 2012s, the 2017s, I'm looking at, the plan was to fly every 3 years. And what has happened is, with this flight, the potential of this flight coming in, I was looking to push back. We're under contract with Pictometry to fly a second time in 2019. And so I made a phone call to them, and they said, yeah, we can move that flight back to 2020. Really good for us, because that's when the new school's going to be built, and a lot of other stuff is going to be happening within that time period. So if we could fly in 2017 and get these orthos for a great price, and then one of the things the commissioners told me to start looking at is how the GIS has evolved. Aerial photography is extremely important and valuable to our offices, and 911 and emergency management. Very important to have up-to-date aerials in their vehicles. On and on and on, how the GIS has evolved and how it's working for everybody. So having up-to-date information is critical. And that put in place, so that way we have funding for this project internally. I know Mr. Wheeler was at a committee. I do have phone calls made to Southwest. Has funded last year's project. They gave it with the 2016 aerial. For Southwest and Sheriff Lasco. They haven't got back with me yet. They're still meeting with that. I do have funding now.
Dan, when we first started this out, everybody kicked in, really, to get it started. Well, a lot of people kicked in.
We had a lot of internal.
But didn't we get something from Busco and South Whitley and some of them? Oh, I thought maybe, we asked them, didn't
We
we?
did ask.
Yeah.
But I think what's happened, how this has evolved, realizing our GIS is incredible. We're up to over 400 some people a day getting on. I can track where the service that we're providing is utilized in our offices on a daily basis as well. So what my plan is now is, like I said, pull the GIS task force back together again and start brainstorming ways that we can kind of come up with some kind of a plan so we can start putting money so we can fund this. That's kind of the plan. We're just going to start so that way we start figuring out how to plan.
George, because that's vital to the Sheriff's Department and also for economic development, could there be something put in seed it, maybe not for the whole amount, but something in seed it and low it to cover maybe half of it?
Sure. We already have a GS. I think we give 25,000 out of seed it, and we can bump that a little bit. But what we as commissioners would like to do, though, since Churubusco, South Whitley, Larwell, all the other municipalities within the area are using this, we'd like to come up with an interlocal agreement, 10-year agreement with them, that they pay a percentage, maybe about the same percentage that they get on Lowit would be what they'd have to pay, so it would be fair to everyone.
Sure.
And, but that's what we're looking at doing. We'd like to just work with the other entities and see if we can get them to go with a 10-year agreement, interlocal, and that way everything's cut and dry. No questions on the formula.
That was our intentions when this first got started, but again, they didn't
You know, what Dan wants to know, this is the next year's expense, it's already in the budget, we just want, all he's wanting approval, sign the contract now.
But Dan, is this something that maybe EDC could look at as far as helping with it?
Maybe we can check it out. I mean, we're gonna be
'Cause they
checking
use
out
it.
all the avenues as possible to see how we can make this. One of the things I'm trying to get the GIS out to these other communities. So far, it hasn't been, you know, well, basically, they don't have anybody that can, they don't. The other town board meeting. Invite them to come. We got classes that are going to be offered the first week of November. So I'm going to invite a couple of them in to take the class so they learn how to operate the software that they trying to rope them into it easily. So maybe say, hey, you know what, this would be a good benefit for our walking along a little bit. You know, we just got nursing everybody into this thing.
Yeah. You kind of figure out, you know, you're gonna do it every 3 years, and basically, you know how much it's gonna cost, give or take a little. If you could figure out a percentage of that from these other communities, everybody could budget that every year.
Exactly.
And, but if you could get them to do it.
Yeah, that's just kind of what I was instructed to do yesterday, and I have no problem doing that. We're all using it, because that was my first question. I said, do you guys use Beacon? I said, well, yes, we do. I said, photography. And right now, our investment into this thing is quite immense, obviously, but up to date is right now the up to date information. Indianapolis, they fly every year.
If a mortgage company or a title researcher utilizes this, could there be a fee process included also?
Oh, I guarantee you, they all use it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know when you start looking how big this thing could get as far as investors, so to speak. I don't know how it's going to, that would be.
You'd be sending bills all over the country, wouldn't you?
Yeah, especially. Out, wherever they check out. Next time we did to find out where it's interesting how our citizens realize
I have a question. If I don't ask it, it's gonna haunt me. In 2015, you said they didn't meet the pictures didn't meet our standards. Now, did that cost us?
Absolutely, it didn't cost us anything.
That's one of my questions.
We got those burials for free. What happened was weather didn't cooperate and leaves came out on the trees way too soon.
Thanks. Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
One of the things that we ask is no leaf on trees. It takes away from our
Bill, could redevelopment commission contribute anything toward that?
But have to talk to him about it. I don't know for sure. George, would you have to take it?
Yeah, it isn't a salary or anything, so I think it could be worked out through redevelopment, and EDC could, or just something from redevelopment or EDC.
Yeah. We would have to talk to him about it, but I'm sure it'd be possible for him to be convinced to do it.
I get really excited about how well our offices are utilizing it. Not about me, it's about what they've all contributed.
That when we started this.
So what do you really need from us today?
Basically approval to go ahead and seek the contract, and then we are working hard to put together
Got the
some
money
type
to
of
do it.
funding system for this, for the next flight.
I make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, got first and second. Any further discussion?
all that.
The only, I'd just like to say, I encourage you to get with anybody else who could contribute and see if you can come up with a fund everybody puts into. And try to get it budgeted, because you're gonna know a little bit about how much it's gonna take over a 3-year period to get that. Encourage that.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same. Thank you, Dan. George? Commissioners report?
Don't have too much really to talk about. We had the juvenile alternative program came in. That was Jen Christie and Lindsay Grossnickel came in requesting a credit card. We've been going back and forth on this as far as credit cards, but they do a lot of work. They're required to provide food for they have advocates that come in and they have to provide the food, so they need some kind of a credit card for that. They've been using our credit card, coming in every once in a while and using it. So they're already using credit cards. We approved another credit card. I think that takes us to 12, which is a lot better than we had previously, but we have a lot of checks and balances now that we didn't have before. So we did approve that. Dan came in for approval for every 3 years of flight, and then we did ask him for an interlocal agreement on that to make sure that next time that we do budget it, that we get everything planned out a little bit better than what we've got it now.
George, I got a question. Would it be a good idea maybe for some of these people for credit cards if we just give them have a debit card and we have so much in the bank for them or something of that nature? So they can't overdraw something crazy.
These credit
sometime.
cards are limited to $2,000.
Oh, okay, thank you, yes. Okay, thank you.
As long as they got a limit on.
Yeah, yeah.
We approved a new holiday schedule for the 4/2 for the Sheriff's Department, and there will be a couple of changes to that. But we have approval for that. We'll have to amend that and bring it back for next meeting, but it's pretty much the same thing, 13 holidays for 2017. We approved the PTO policy. I've got a copy of that I'd like you to take a look at. This is a policy for the paid time off. We've combined vacations, sick time, and not holiday pay, personal days is what we've combined into a PTO setup. And this has gone through personnel. I think we've been working on this probably, 6-8 months at least. We've been working on that. There are 4 of us here. I think it's a good opportunity for our employees. It's a good incentive for our employees. They don't have to worry about if they're sick or if they've got some time. A lot of them will take sick time and they'll call in for sick time and they're not sick. And most businesses are going to just a PTO setup right now with paid time off, that everything is combined. You'll see on the first page, length of service. We've got a breakdown, a little bit tighter breakdown for the different hours, for the hours that are prorated. So if you got 20 years, you got 308 hours of combined sick time, vacation, and holiday, or personal.
So they got that many hours, they divide them up any way they want.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot.
The one thing I will say is the first year is going to be a little bit difficult for the managers because there's that transition period for the people that still have hours left from 16 to 17. Once we get through that, it'll be a lot easier for everyone.
Can they carry these hours over?
Yeah, they can, and if you'll look, there's a PTO bank, actually, that we have.
Yeah.
You cannot carry over more than 450 hours, 600 hours. Anything over 600 hours goes into a PTO bank, which the employee cannot really use unless there's a catastrophic, whether they have medical issues, where they're going to be a FMLA. And at that point, Pam, do you want to explain that a little bit better on that?
And with the bank too, he's right, it's a catastrophic
Pam,
event.
could you come up?
Yep. But also with the PTO bank, you can donate time to an employee who has another catastrophic event or an FMLA or a serious medical condition. So we still.
Can an employee give another employee hours?
Yeah, that's what you
Yes,
that's what you
That's
just.
what you just said, and I didn't quite understand how you.
What,
That's a one-time,
correct.
one time you can do that, Bill.
And I know, I heard someone make the comment, there's a lot of hours.
That's what I thought.
There is, but in all reality, it's only two extra personal days from what we have now. One extra tier of vacation goes up to 20 years. We did a census and went through it in the personnel committee. Several other companies in the county are upping their
And can you hit on what's only paid out, because I'm seeing Glenn's
It is.
face, he's worried about.
Yeah, if you look at the back page where it talks about separation, separation of employment. It is a lot, but if you look at the back page, if somebody voluntarily separates, they're only going to get a maximum of 150 hours paid out. That's how most of the plans are today. They don't get the full amount. They don't get what they have in there. And if they're terminated, they don't get anything.
Don't get any help.
Yeah, so that does help. Yeah, while you're an active employee, there is quite a bit, but that's a recruiting tool, that's a retention tool.
So if the employees don't use their PTO time, they're not going to lose it. It goes into this bank, but the only way that they can really use it is for if they want to donate the time, if they have a medical event that they're going to be on FMLA, something like that. It's so that they still have the benefit. But there's still a maximum on that, and it's a maximum of 600 hours.
And I sat on the personnel committee, and we had all the offices, all the head of the office come in and help us work with this, so it's been through the government building and even over the courthouse, so it's been worked on pretty thorough, so.
And along with what Kim has to say, I'm on the personnel committee also, and it has been revised. It goes back to the department heads, comes back, and this is kind of the final outcome of it. So it's been very thoroughly gone through.
It just, I don't mean to sound like a tightwad, but that just looks like a lot of hours. You know, you hear everybody talk about how the economy is kaput and things, and jobs are not growing, and it looks like, holy crap.
Well, Glenn, you gotta remember too that the PTO balance is paid time off, so that includes vacation, sick, personal. So the numbers you're seeing are just a collective of all their paid time off.
So, okay, so one of the questions I have, so this is not just vacation, period.
Right, no.
But,
And like Pam said, it's just a slight increase of 2 days for that paid time off balance. So, and really, it's been several years since that's changed, several.
yeah, I understand that part. I just was curious about whether we should even be changing. That's
Well,
all.
truly, what started this was employee retention. You know, it's been a huge issue for us, and vacation time has been a huge issue as far as new employees coming in, because they were going a full year and didn't have any time off, and so that's where this whole thing started, was more retention, getting good employees and retaining those good employees.
I understand that. I don't know that this would make a big difference, but we'll see.
Where are we in
We'll see.
that category
We'll see.
right now? Do we got any positions we're having a hard time filling?
Nothing that we're having a hard time filling. Sheriff's Department, they've got some issues with illness and with one person being deployed. They just lost one of their deputies. Probably the Sheriff's Department is the worst. I think jailers, you're okay right now. But
Municipalities, we'll never be able to keep up with them.
no.
Okay.
But commissioners wanted to make sure that you were aware of what was happening here.
Oh, I appreciate it.
If there were any questions, please feel free to come to us.
I think it's a good idea that we actually vote to make
Sure.
it. So I move that we approve policy 4.2, paid time off.
Okay, there's a first, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Now, all in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same.
Thank you.
I just want to say, the two representatives on the council and whoever else involved in this, I know they put in a ton of time. And I
Oh, yeah, I-
appreciate their efforts.
Oh, I as well.
And it was a whole group of people, it wasn't just one.
We have a great personnel committee. Very diverse. Actually, that's about all I've got. It was a quick meeting that we had yesterday, and things have been pretty quiet for commissioners.
George, before you step out, I had brought something in front of George and Bill about fulfilling our contract with EMS, or the EMA, or EMS. It's our turn to buy a truck. And I just wanted you guys to know that they're asking us if we want to fulfill our contract or we don't. And Bill's gonna check on it through the community foundation, make sure that the money's there to do that. And once we do that, then we fulfilled that 5-year commitment that we had with them before we enter into the next contract. So, just to bring you up to speed where that's at. Okay. Well, before we get to the adoption, let's approve the minutes real quick from,
I think you had, Jen, I think you put down President Western instead of Wheeler.
Chairman Weston.
So we're working on the meeting minutes for the solid waste first.
yeah, we can do that.
I move we approve these minutes as submitted, but with the change.
Have a first, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same.
Abstain.
I abstain.
Okay, the minutes from the council meeting.
I move we approve them with the change.
Well, there was the one change that I could notice on that, on the commissioner's report. It's the Humane Society, not the human.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move we approve with the change.
Okay,
Second.
second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna take that over to them and work through those. I wanna look at it and make sure.
That's that right there.
Yeah.
Totally understand it.
Well, I think I do.
The chairman, I was sitting on the meetings and that chairman, I understand it.
I can say that about everything. I think I understand.
Well, that's what me, I think I do, but I just thought it'd be a good idea if I looked over. Yeah.
Did you just have your name up there?
This one,
Before we get to the adoption of the budget and the solid waste budget, does anybody else have anything to say?
I just want to thank you for supporting the PTO policy. That's the reason I'm here, so. I think it's a great morale booster for our employees, and I appreciate all the time that everyone put into it, but, so that's the reason I'm here.
Thank you, Paul.
Paula was a member of the Personnel Committee and contributed considerably. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
I'm assuming this is last.
Sheriff?
What have we done with him?
What?
I don't know what you approved or what you didn't, but when I submitted the budget, I had asked for a deputy, a jailer, and a transport, requesting more for a deputy than anything. And I don't know where we're at with that, but I truly need a deputy, more than you guys can believe, ever at the sheriff's department. Yesterday, I worked half a day shift, and I worked 6P to 6A. I did that last week. I worked second Sunday. Jason works thirds tonight. We've adjusted the schedule for the month of October. I have 8 guys working the road, and that's it. So they went to 12-hour shifts for the month of October. With the stress and things that they see on the road, and I even experienced Sunday, they need breaks. Had one deputy had 1 day off in 22 days. I had one deputy that had 36 and a half hours overtime in one pay period. 2 others with over 20 hours of overtime in the pay period. I need these guys to be fresh on the road and sharp, and when they're working all their days off, they can't do it. So I'm just coming to you with one last plea to have another deputy. We've been, Jason, what is it, 4.5, 5 years we haven't been up to staff with deputies? And we can't control all the factors of that. We have John deployed, we have one off on medical leave all this month. But I've tried to talk with the guys to keep their morale going, and over half of them said they're tired of working their days off because they're not getting family time. That was just my plea to you.
Do you get any help from your volunteers or whatever?
The reserve organization, very little. We don't have many that are capable to work the road.
Okay, that's what I was gonna wonder.
There's another little loophole if you have them working the road and we can't compensate them for anything. If we do, we gotta send them to the academy within a year. Lastly, with the way that the police world's evolving, we can't get a lot of volunteers that wanna come out and be volunteer police officers anymore.
Mark, are you having problems filling those positions? I had heard that was a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, we've, applications keep dwindling every time we put an opening out. We did get 20 this time, with some really good applications in it. I know you guys, some of you didn't like the PTO, but that's gonna be help us become more competitive, because some places offer, hey, if we hire you, you get 2 weeks vacation this year. That PTO will help us.
Also puts you in a bigger strain for deputies.
It will. I mean, right now, one person takes off, we gotta cover 12 hours, which is why, like I said, I worked last night, Jason works tonight, Jason works another night this month. Without it sounding like whining, but every time we get pulled out of the office, we get behind with the duty, our regular job duties too.
Sure, yeah.
I think we approved you a transport officer.
I don't
I was thinking we did.
Transport officer and a jailer.
Would we approve?
A jailer and a transport officer.
You'd rather have the deputy?
No, I'd say that's what we have approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd rather have a
I
deputy?
need a deputy worse than anything else.
Something a little more versatile.
So,
Well, that's what
You know, when we approved the money,
Yeah, I'll approve it. I'll make a motion, we give him a deputy.
On top of these, or?
Yeah, well, it's better than paying all the overtime and everything.
I had one guy in this pay period from September 11th, 24th that didn't have any overtime. One guy, and that's because he got married and was on vacation.
I think we need to go open that books back up to there and see what we put in and change those figures. If he'd rather have a deputy than what we got, we can adjust those figures and not cost the county a lot of money.
Well, it's
But we
just common
don't-
sense not to be paying overtime when you could be paying straight time.
What's your choice if
If you
one
have a
is
preference
removed?
between a transport
Do you
officer
need
and
a
a deputy.
yeah, our jailer? Yeah, what's your,
We haven't approved this budget.
When I came to you, I requested a deputy, and if we were playing Monty Hall, let's make a deal, and could only get two, it'd be the transport and skip on the jail. I have budgeted money for 2 part-time, it's just been hard to find them part-time. Jason? Yes, sir. Anything different on that? Any other views?
Jason, get
Come
up
on up
there.
here, Jason.
Yeah, let's look at you.
Don't be back, you ain't guys.
And
Don't let him take all the
Jason
heat by
does the
himself.
schedule, which is why I'm asking him, and he struggles because of, the guys get 1 weekend off every 6 weeks, and when you make them work their weekend off, it doesn't sit.
Makes him a little ouchy. No, but he's hit the nail on the head. I mean, I can't say any more than he hasn't. The guys are just getting beat up and worn out. That's what it comes down to. With the 2 budget positions of the part-time, if we do run into a straight, our population's been a little bit, but I think with the part-time position that's already budgeted for the jail side, that's the hardest thing to do is the part-time. Now, with the PTO time, there's been part-time benefits put in place for them at a partial. So that might get you some decent part-time. The whole thing about the part-time is, it's hard to find good help that doesn't get a benefit and to retain that person as a qualified employee.
Fire departments have the same problem.
Yeah, if they don't want to stay, I mean, if you get, sorry to say, but you get the bottom of the barrel, you scrape the bottom of the barrel of people that really don't care about their job, and they don't want to make that dedication to it. When you get somebody that's a full-time employee, that's where you're going to get that. You're going to get those people that want those benefits and want a career. And that's what we've seen with our applications this time. There's no reason why we couldn't pull 2 good people out of this application process. There's people with prior law enforcement, prior academy, saves our training. 16 weeks that we get a guy here that we don't have to send. If we get somebody that's highly certified, that's a bonus. Somebody we don't have to send out to thing for 16 weeks. FTO process is shorter. So, I mean, it's a benefit all over to get an extra guy on. And it's not us, but it's what we see through the guys every day when they come to work. It's basically a beat up factor on right now.
We add that deputy, another deputy to the budget. Don't take out what we've already approved and kind of work with that through the course of the year, or what they have to have and what we can not have to have.
Approve
change the
even a
budget,
full-time
but the
confinement,
Yeah.
we could eliminate the part-time.
Well, just add it to the budget. And the ones that they budgeted, they don't.
We need to get them figures in front of us so we can see them.
I'd like to know how much overtime is paid so far. I mean, it kind of gives us an idea
Yeah.
where we're gonna be as far as putting a full-time person.
Right, I would have to either have time to look, or I don't know if Jana has a.
Is that John's? Yeah. John, here's your. Who's? Who's that?
Who's Bill?
50,000.
Sound big Bill.
Well, we don't have to all look it up.
Let's see. This would be in the sheriff's budget.
Yep. I wouldn't say we don't need it, but we can use it.
oh yeah, I guess that shit.
Increased it 50,000.
Just add on, whatever.
Have you got, Mark, have you got these, your budget requests in there
No, sir.
with you?
No, sir.
All right, here's one that's got a jailer at $40,000, $13,600.
In looking at my book there, it shows your part-time for 2015 was 37,152. You increased it on 2017, 50,000. How much of that 50,000 would be reduced with a full-time deputy? Any, I want ballpark figures, you don't have to be exact.
What, overtime?
Yeah.
What budget are you in? Which one?
We're looking at 17.
Sheriff.
Sheriff or the Lilly? Which one side are you in?
Sheriff.
Sheriff.
Sure.
105.
That was increased due to the part-time admin people being involved with that. That's why it increased. We have 2 part-time admin people, and we used to only have 1.
I'm trying to find the additions.
You had part-time in there, we'll put part-time in there for 40,000.
Tell him to call the sheriff to rub it up.
The transport,
For part-time,
or full-time,
So I don't know if this is updated. But so we're talking about 50 grand.
you run at 40,000.
$50,550.
How much? 50,002.
New position.
50,500.
Yeah, Billy Maddox.
That's what I got here for,
1950, sorry, I don't have my.
for wages.
Sheriff Deputy 10, that's
No,
what
you're
we're
right.
talking about. The addition, or you want an addition?
Yeah, sorry, there you go.
Yeah, that's okay.
This was the 1950
Plus
raise, my
benefits.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, deputies to 50,000. Sergeants to 50,000.
Here on page 7 of this thing,
Well, right here, I got this.
shows 2 positions.
Right. One was 50, the other one was 40.
One's a transport, one's a deputy.
40,006 transport officer, 50,550.
What did we approve?
We approved the transport officer and the jailer,
Yeah,
but they're saying that they would rather have.
a deputy.
I'll tell you what, if you're good and understand the needs of the deputy position, take the full-time, or take the part-time, because it's $24,000 a year roughly for what a part-time person can make a year.
Times 2.
For the, yeah, so if you take that, it pretty much makes a full-time position for the jail, correct?
Yeah.
So that would almost be the wash, and then we could appropriate the deputy and wash the part-time. Take those 2 wages, put it in one full-time. So then you wouldn't be getting rid of anything, you're just making the full-time, just transferring budget.
Well, yeah, you'd
It
have
would
your,
almost be a wash of 50,000.
you just have the benefits on top, but that's all.
Right.
Yeah,
Be a lot closer to keeping those 2
yeah,
budgets.
yeah.
The jailer's.
But just looking at the overtime itself, I mean,
It's I do payroll every day, I'm like, I don't know how they, and like I said, they're the ones having to go out and make the tough decisions and the split-second stuff, and it's.
Okay, you just advertised for one, Dave. You got that filled?
No, I think we're waiting on the appropriations to see where we're at today.
No, the one that Dustin left, we're in the process of going through the steps of that. They have agility. We did the backgrounds already.
Okay, and if we approve another one,
Do you have enough in the application pool to fill the position?
you're confident.
I believe so.
What about, and you want to do it now rather than wait till the end of the year?
By the time we get through it all,
It'd be the end of the year before you hire him, gets on the job anyway.
that leaves the
Close.
second one close to it, yeah.
Mark, on that overtime, how much would that, I see we had 40,000 in there for overtime. Would that, if we go that way, would that eliminate any of that?
And that would be depending on the hiring process, because if you found somebody that was a good candidate versus somebody that had ILA experience, ILA is great and all, but if they're not gonna fit, not gonna work, and you have your doubts, we're gonna have to go with the other guy, we're gonna have to send that guy for 16 weeks. Now, we're still down John Stoffel till March of April, so I kinda guess it's depending on that. If we don't have to send somebody for 2 additional officers, or 1 additional officer and 1 replacement officer for 16 weeks worth of academy, I mean, that's gonna save a lot because they can FTO a short amount of time, get their experience in what they need to in the county, and then start working the road in a faster process. They might only be out 6 weeks in the training process versus 16 weeks plus another 10 weeks to 20 weeks in an FTO program.
But the chance of finding somebody who doesn't have to go to academy is pretty slim.
This is probably the best shot right now we have as far as
We have
qualified
the
applicants
most
with ILA
certified police
certification.
officers in Indiana this time than we've had in any other application process.
And that's.
Back to your question, Kim, it's not gonna eliminate it all until we get closer to full staff. Plus with the requirements of training, we will have some, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's gonna eliminate everything. We'll reduce it once we get
Yeah,
fully staffed.
sure.
It gives us the option to move those people around.
And they're gonna be less stressed because less family problems too.
Well, I move we fill that deputy position.
He's got
But
a
we got to decide if we're gonna take away one of those transporter, one of them other ones.
Mark, can your transport officer be a deputy?
Depends.
It's a waste of
Yes
time.
and no. If we pay him to do deputies' duties, we have to send him to the police
Yeah.
academy within the first year for 16 weeks. And then we're gonna have to bring him up to deputies' wages. That's why we had it reduced to a confinement wage, because they would do transport
Yeah.
before.
What can't a transport officer do?
He can't make traffic stops, he can't respond to emergency scenes, car accidents.
He's basically a
He can do
chauffeur.
nothing but transport then, basically, right?
Transport, serve civil process paper from the courts, transport inmates back and forth to court. He's considered what we call a special sworn deputy, but he doesn't do any of the true law enforcement duties.
Okay, if we give you a deputy, what position do you want to eliminate that we approved?
The
But you also said that we could take the 2 part-time
and eliminate them.
and then get, because it's easier to find full-time confinement officers than it is part-time. So what is the part-time confinement officer budget?
40,000.
I don't know, but this is gonna be,
24.
a deputy's gonna be a money-saving thing for us, I'm
Wasn't it
telling you.
I mean,
224?
I'm very in favor of all 3. I just think that we can find money
Somewhere
and
else.
restrict.
I agree with you.
And I think it's gonna be these part-time deputies or
Yeah.
confinement officers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, for the jail budget side, is, the part-time could be completely eliminated out of.
And that's
that.
40. John and I just found it. That's 40 grand.
It's 40,
Yeah.
and they're at 39,909.
Yeah, so and if I need to put that in a form of a motion, I will.
All right.
What's that? Oh, for,
That we keep the transport budget and keep the confinement, remove the jailer part-time pay of 40 and add a deputy.
Full-time?
Yes.
I'll second that.
you want me to withdraw my motion then, or?
Yeah,
what?
they died for lack of second, so.
Well, we never
fine.
asked for a second. Okay. All right.
So mine.
Okay, we have a first and we have a second. Any further discussion?
Repeat the motion.
We're good.
What was that paragraph?
You wanna, go ahead, you repeat.
What we want to do is we want to maintain in the budget, that's 2017 proposed budget, as is with the transport officer and the confinement officer. Remove the part-time confinement officer budget of 40 grand and add a deputy in place of that. So you're
Now-
looking at about a 10,000.
At a jailer, right? A full-time jailer.
Full-time
Yeah, we were maintaining the
Full-time
full-time
deputy.
jailer.
Okay,
Full-time
I got one question then. Is that in the sheriff's, or is that in the jail budget, that part-time?
Yes.
Yes.
That's gotta be moved to the sheriff's.
No.
Well, he can still be,
Jailer will stay, and it's actually going to be less.
even though it's a deputy's pay, it's still in the jail budget.
Right,
Yes.
so it's gonna be
Okay.
a wash, but 2 different budgets.
All right. Just, I wanna make sure I understand it.
New car.
You understand that,
Another
Mark?
No, I'm lost on the
What?
the the deputy can't stay in the jail, he's gotta go, he's gotta
Right,
get
right.
below it.
I had him in Lowit.
Okay.
I had him in Lowit and the new
Cancel the
transfer.
part-time, make it full.
Yeah.
For confinement, jail side.
And
In
county
a jail
treasurer.
budget.
Somebody asked, does this require another car?
Probably.
Eventually.
Yeah, I think it's all right. I don't think it should affect anything as far as budget. I mean, the only thing we have is, I know the jail.
For next year, no.
The car budget's been taken down from 90 to 80 to 70 the past 3 years.
Well, there's a truck, a white truck, it's not doing anything that you can put him in.
That's every meeting. I'm proud of you.
Well, it's about wore out, it's a Dodge.
And Ford.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Any further discussion on this motion? Whatever it might be.
Shannon, do you have the
Sorry,
motion?
it's a mouthful.
I got it.
That's funny, I don't care who you are.
Well, Shannon's got it.
I get an E for effort, so.
I got it.
If not, all them in favor, raise your hand. All them opposed, say.
You look a little puzzled, Mark.
I am, I don't even have a clue what the numbers.
Well, then you're happy with it, I can tell.
I'm happy, but I don't know what the numbers.
Good luck, Mark.
It's whatever you need. Whatever you need, Mark.
I guess I should have backed up. So Jennifer, the lowest abstained, okay.
See,
Question should be.
are we good?
Another court. We're good, we're leaving it.
That's good.
Thank you.
See you, Mark.
Wait, don't leave yet. We might not be done with you.
Me or him?
The little one.
Jason, you work on that pickup, will you?
We'll see you next month, Mark.
Huh?
Thank you.
Hey, have a good one.
They don't even drive it.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, let's, Nathan?
Was here to see if you guys had any comments.
Comments about what? What do you want us to comment on?
Well, that's up to you.
Have you got something that needs commented on?
Anything pertaining to my budget, mostly.
Well, maybe we ought to look at it.
Yeah.
Put it back over there.
Yeah.
We got to work on the budget.
Nathan,
We better keep it.
come on up here, we're not done with you.
Well, I don't want to throw them away, but I don't want to take it home with me.
And Brandon was,
I have taken it home, but it's.
Where'd your backup go?
I don't know.
He make you facing this by yourself.
You go ahead, Janet.
Okay,
Anyway,
all right, I'll go ahead. I told Kim that when you went over planning department's budget, I think it was $12,500 if you stuck with part-time or full-time to make that, put that, their part-time position into a full-time position so that she can work with redevelopment and work with the EDC rather than EDC doing redevelopment's work. And she would also do the minutes, correct, for the redevelopment commission. She would have, part of her position would be planning and building part-time, and then the other part would be, you guys had talked about just approving. But if you approve full-time, which I do, that it would be reimbursed. The difference would be reimbursed, correct?
correct, and George has commented that he would find funding one way or another. That told John Myers that. Basically, what I'm thinking is if the part-time person is approved now and they do find funding to make her requesting the full-time position. Funding.
So the full-time position won't be requested until additional funding is secured.
I'm requesting it now in the anticipation of finalizing that funding.
Because I recall that redevelopment is restricted as far as what they can,
Yeah, I'm not sure you can do that.
yeah, and so I'd hate to approve something now today and have the backup funding.
Yeah, yeah.
But I thought you told me that you did have something like that, right?
The way
way it could work is that the TIF is restricted by state statute to not be able to pay salaries, day-to-day salaries. TIF can reimburse other funds though, as long as it's, well, there are some restrictions on that, but generally speaking, it can be reimbursed. So for example, TIF could be used to reimburse CEDAT, which CEDAT can then pay salaries. That's an example of what can be done. It's probably the cleanest way of doing it, given what the state statutes say. But the TIF district cannot directly pay for day-to-day staffing. That's explicitly. Exactly the mechanism of funds that go into this.
It just bothers me to take money out of one pocket because we can't spend out of that, put it in another pocket, and then we can spend it. And somebody gets upset, then you got a headline.
That'd make more sense to take it out of CEDAT, because that's unrestricted pretty much. You can spend it any place you want to spend it. And you can't do that with redevelopment money.
And you sure you have enough for a full-time person? I mean, I don't think the redevelopment work will take.
She would be doing that, correct?
On behalf of the redevelopment commission, John would still be, of course, be the primary initial contact, and then it would transfer over to Progressive.
You were talking about the preparation for the application for tax abatements. Yeah, it used to be that whoever was asking it was required to do it. And then we got, that didn't come through loud and clear, so we had to go through Region 3A to have to do it. And they paid for it, we didn't pay for it. But now we're switching around where we're gonna do it, so it's a little different than it used to be. Didn't cost the county anything.
Kinda.
Are we still a member of Region 3A?
Well, we
Does
decided,
anybody know?
We are at the moment.
We are?
yeah, we decided to drop out.
Well, but I think we are
We
for
just
this
didn't
remainder
fund
of
it.
this year.
Yeah.
What's that?
We may still be a member, but we didn't fund it.
Okay.
For next year,
For next year.
yeah.
Huh?
We're
For
still-
next year.
We're still
Right,
in
we still
this
are
year.
this year.
Yeah.
So what I requested was the appropriation for the full-time person, but again, not knowing exactly the funding mechanism, that's still unclear to me. I know options, and it's the commissioner's decision. But the request is appropriating it without knowing exactly what mechanism that is. Otherwise, I'd be back later when we, probably in November, even December.
I think you need to figure that out with George and then come back and
How many
in front of us and let us know.
requests for tax abatement do we get per year? I mean, it looks to me like a full-time employee to do that might be a little bit of overkill.
Well, the tax abatements, it would also be handling things like overseeing the RDC's projects, being the project manager, not actually being on site, but coordination with contractors and so on, both myself and her. It would be, as Jana mentioned, the monthly meetings or bi-monthly meetings, as the case may be, keeping track of paperwork, records besides the treasury, because the auditor is the treasurer for the RDC now. And again, she would still be doing the planning and building effort as well. She's already a part-time person, so this would basically become, she's part-time people put together to make a full-time person.
Personally, I'd be much more comfortable if I knew exactly where the funding was and what the job description would be to qualify for a full-time position.
Yeah, I would like to too. See just exactly what it's.
Let me ask you this, if that is done, then by right, she ought to be refactored.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be a new job
Just
description.
Slipping through the cracks. is done.
Right, absolutely. It should be, a job description should be written. We should know the funding sources. And then we could set a salary for the person, because we really can't set a salary until the
Correct.
position's been refactored. I move we table this issue.
But don't we need to put it in the budget, though?
Yeah, but
And it doesn't mean it has to be spent, but I think I'm not too sure it shouldn't be budgeted.
we can always do an additional appropriation
Well,
when we know.
we don't know exactly what to put in the
Well, we
budget.
could put something in.
And
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when
We
something's
get
put in the
close,
budget,
can't
that's
we?
what
Yeah,
they
we could
spend.
cheap make a,
Well, we just say, now don't spend it, but it's there, and we don't have to come up with additional appropriations for the entire amount. That's what I'm thinking. But don't we already have it in the budget, some of it?
Well, and if it ends up not being the case, then you could always reduce.
What did we put in there for that?
It was either 12.
Was,
But I think it should be in the budget, not necessarily to get spent. But, I mean, I don't like these additional appropriations,
yeah, that gets you in trouble.
well, especially right after first year, we got a new budget and we're starting to have additional appropriations right off the,
Yeah, it was
What did-
12.5 was the first time making her 20 hours a week is the proposal. Versus making it full-time, which based upon a preliminary factoring that Pam had done, it was 33,750.
which did we approve, the 12.5 or the full-time?
But
Okay,
I
we
did-
approved
I
option
did-
2.
I did advertise it at the 33,750 because just in case you guys did change your minds, I always go for the higher. So it's,
So you did advertise the other figure at option 1.
right, I always advertise the higher at the two, but, so it's really up to you guys what you
So,
33,750.
I don't know,
what do you think, Jana? What do you think we should do on that? Leave it like we've done it, or?
I honestly think you should do the 30. The way that George has talked, they're gonna find the fund.
I just think it ought to be budgeted if it's something that's gonna be
well,
a possibility.
and it is advertised.
Yes, it is advertised at the higher. And again, you can always do a reduction too. That's always better than doing an addition.
But you can't implement it until it's factored, can you?
No.
No,
I mean,
but
if
you
we do
approve
approve-
this dollar
even
figure
if we
in the
approve the dollar
budget,
figure.
and that's really close.
Well, that might be, but you can't actually pay it until you factor the job.
Well, they haven't got the position filled
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
No.
We're kind of just throwing a dart right now.
Yeah, you can't fill the position until you find out what the position is.
Yeah.
Well, I'd make a motion, we put the 33, what is it?
750.
750 in the budget.
Can you add to your motion about pending factoring?
Yeah. Subject to approval of the Personnel Committee and the availability of funding.
Absolutely, that's great.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, I would second that one also.
Jim, first and second, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same.
Thank you.
But I can see a job description as soon as
Oh,
possible.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, there's been one drawn up. That's just, again, it is for preliminary factoring. If you get a step by
Yep.
Thank you. That should make it.
Brandon, do you have anything?
With the budget, but then when I presented my highway budget, the questions was what was planned for equipment and chip spreader. Well, the last day that we chip sealed, our chip spreader broke an axle. A spare for a 1974 Etner chip spreader. Can't buy tires for that anymore. They don't make them. That's why we had spare axle. We were shopping for tires. Just go out as a package. So what we've got is 42 years old, and it's worn out. It's been rebuilt once completely, and it's worn out. One, you're looking at about 250, 260. That's more than what I proposed the budget. I've got 200,000 in equipment for next year. There is a used one, it's 2,000, so it's only 16 years old instead of 40. It's got $1,700 on a Cummins diesel. 83,900 is what they're asking.
How much?
83,900. Well, one of the problems with it is it's in North Carolina. Kevin's the one that rebuilt the chip spreader.
So that'd cost a couple thousand to get it here.
It would cost, yeah.
So that-
I'm guessing 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that.
For
We
sure.
talked to people, we haven't tried to negotiate any price.
And you really don't know what kind of shape it's in, do you?
Well, and that's,
The pig in the poke.
yeah, and I don't, that's a big gamble.
Yeah.
That's a big gamble, and what I'm proposing is,
Well, you could go look at it, couldn't you?
that's, and I told Kevin, well, yeah, you don't need me, he says, so you're gonna make me be,
Tell him that's why he makes the big bucks.
Well, I really think in a case like this, 4 eyes are a lot better than 2, and, but you know what I'm thinking, we could take 2 days and drive down there and
Where's it at in South, you say South Carolina?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, not Raleigh.
Yeah, so you're,
Right.
10, 11 hours.
Well, you got, they got those cheap Allegiant flights into Charlotte every.
And that's the other option, is we could take 1 day and fly down there, and the guy that's a broker or whatever said he would even pick us up at the airport and take us over to look at it.
I don't know, what are you thinking? Are you thinking it's worth, do you want to look at it or not?
Well, yeah,
I'll say.
Well, if you want to look at it,
That much money in it, I would like to have at least 2 sets of eyes and maybe 4 sets of eyes, take a look at it and say, good or not good.
well, yeah, because, we gotta check out valves and bearings and,
Yeah.
conveyors and.
well, go look at the sucker and then come back.
Well, with the price compared to new, I think it's worth the trip myself.
Yes.
That's my thinking.
What's your thoughts on the number of hours?
Oh,
Nothing.
that's nothing.
Is it municipal government like city or?
What happened was I don't know for sure where it started. Right now, it's owned by a contractor, and they bought it for a job, and then.
They got the job done.
They got the job done and haven't used it, so it's sat there for a while, and that's one of the.
Yeah. When you wonder how it's been maintained or whatever, that's why you need to look
Now, the
at it.
guy, of course, the guy that's, that we're talking, that Kevin's talking to says, you can see from their shop that they keep things up. And,
Well, they might or they might not.
Yeah.
On your budget, you got X number of dollars, and you budgeted those for different places. How much did you budget for equipment, any?
200.
200,000.
This is the 83.
what I'm kind of hoping for today, A, this conversation, B, a straw vote to give us an additional for this year's budget and a reduction simultaneously for next year. So I'll be basically spending next year's money this year if we go see. And
But that's
Well,
all
it's you
in
guys-
your budget, and you got a number. We're not gonna take money out of county general to,
right, no.
so
You got
you
your
got
own
enough
money,
money in
you
there
got
to move
enough
around and do
money?
it?
It's all highway, yeah.
Yeah,
You got enough money to move around and
In
do
this-
Technically, there's enough money.
In this
that
budget.
We could just do an additional, and you could give me the full.
250.
next year, But, you know, I don't, I mean, our grade all's about shot too. I mean,
Yeah.
when we're looking at a mini excavator to replace that, and you're another 90 or 100,000 for there. But if I can get a chip spreader for 80, 85 with shipping and everything, and
Then you got some money to,
What I'm getting at is you're not gonna, if you're gonna still spend the same amount of dollars, whether we approve this or not, that's how much money you got in your budget. You can move it around to get it where you want it, to get that irrigator.
well, right now, this year's budget, my equipment is zero. We paid for 2 new trucks.
Right.
So I have, literally 0 cents in that line item right now.
So it's a matter if we have the money this year to even give it to you.
There is,
there is.
Jana, right, because remember, we looked at that report from the first appropriation, there was 561,000 extra, and we did 360 in additionals so far for the new truck.
Okay, well, we can't give you an answer till you go look at the dang thing.
Well,
he's
What do you want from us?
Well,
I think he just wants a straw vote.
Just a straw
You know,
vote
we're
that
gonna
if
do
I
the
do
move.
come to you next month for an additional, we've gone and looked at it between now and then, and we say, yeah, that's a good deal. That, yeah.
All right.
I don't wanna take the time and go look at it, because I got no money right now without an additional.
Go look at the
Are
dang
you getting
thing.
more prices than, I
It's
missed?
a used piece of equipment.
Oh.
No, a new one would be about 260,000, this
Oh.
is about 80.
This would,
Or-
Jana?
Even with the last additional appropriation of 160,000, he still has 263,000.
The money's there.
That's what I was trying to get
Yeah.
at. The money is there. You're not asking for money. You're asking for money to be moved from here to there within your.
Why don't we just take a straw vote to allow him to do it, and then we know
Well,
money's
that's
there to
a
pay for
no-brainer,
it. We can
basically.
determine what we're gonna do,
Yeah.
if and when.
Brandon, I have a question for you. Sure, this piece of equipment isn't gonna be too big for our county roads? Didn't you tell me it's 20 foot wide?
Oh, yeah. No, it's expandable from 10 to 20.
Okay.
And what that'll allow us to chip seal an entire road in one pass. And it's
Yeah.
anywhere between 10 and 20.
You'd about have to shut it off. Shut the road off while you're doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it
You're not gonna-
may
Let's
only
speed
be
it
for a
up.
short period of time.
You just do a mile at a time usually, don't you? And then you could move the,
Well, yeah, and we only do what we need to cover up, because the distributor sprays the oil, and then the chip spreader follows up and covers the stone, and then it's ready for traffic.
wouldn't be long.
We roll it, but
How long do you have a road closed when you do that? Would,
to do a mile,
hour?
no, it's more than that. We're
3 or 4.
We're doing 5 miles for 2 loads, so 2.5 miles a load. A little over an hour and a half maybe. But see, the way we're doing it now is our chip spreader only does
Half.
10 foot.
Yeah.
So we either spray it 10 foot and cover it, or spray it 20 foot and then cover it and then come back and
Now,
cover the other half.
how does this work with the crowns?
No
It-
problem.
It's up high enough it won't be dragging on a crown or something like
The
that.
chip spreader, it just drops a stream.
I understand
of
that, but I didn't know if it's a straight line and how high above the road it is, you know? If you have a high crown road, oh, I see.
It's
Okay.
this high up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay, we need a straw vote. All
I
in
think
favor of
he
letting
needs to
him
go look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you,
All right.
I think 2 of you ought to go look at it.
I think so too. I don't want to.
The mechanic, definitely the mechanic, not just two.
I'm not scared of heights. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take a whole day to go look at something, but I really.
take a commissioner with you.
What's that?
Take Don Amber with you.
Well, I could ask him.
I'd
I mean,
say,
you need him,
He's the commissioner over the highway.
or let him go with,
With the, yeah,
I
with
could ask-
if you
mechanic.
don't wanna fly.
Oh, well, yeah, that would work.
but I'd rather have you look at it than probably him, but I'm just saying that'd give you, if you don't really want to
The better
fly.
option
they
is
all
to
three
fly
guys
out.
don't wanna-
I do
The
too.
hype of going through TSA.
Don be a big help with
Oh,
Waiting for your
you'll be all right.
flight and all that. I
Just don't have any knives and guns on
Yeah,
you.
You'll be all right.
I know.
The obvious stuff.
Well, my daughter's boyfriend got a job with them at Fort Wayne, so maybe I can go through his line.
Yeah,
Not have so much.
yeah.
Oh,
It's on the way back you got the problem.
Right.
Brandon, you've had your first summer
Yes.
with the highway.
Yes.
Any observations from that?
You know, there's a lot more to it than what I thought.
Yeah.
I haven't had any phone calls, so I think that's a good sign that things are
I
going.
will tell you what, and this is the honest to God's truth, I have got more thank yous and compliments since April with being at the highway department than 15 years of being up in this office. People appreciate what we have.
I run that route every day, and frankly, from what I see, you've done a good job. I'm well satisfied, but you're gonna hear about roads, because people are on the road every day, and they're
Oh,
gonna.
trust me, I know.
Wait till this winter.
We're already,
Yeah.
we're already getting geared up for snow season. Yeah, we're talking and I'm listening, and it's gonna be an experience. We'll get through it. I think the guys are happy.
Well, and give them a little responsibility and let them have them.
And that's my plan. I'll be back next year with some more changes. I think I've changed enough this year.
Yeah, you rocked the boat enough.
Well, sometimes
We gotta fill this freaking budget yet.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we have to, need a motion to approve this budget?
Wait a
Hold
minute.
on.
Wait a minute. The auditor's changing the budget.
Talking about this deal, we don't know about the carryover.
Okay.
We need to get a sheet.
Let's do the solid waste one.
This is what you're gonna get.
Okay, we need to, it's 2016-09 is the solid waste one. Is there anything on that? Good like it was?
You don't have much,
Nothing there.
I move we approve it.
Okay, we have first, second.
Last second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same.
do I need to abstain or
I'll
whatever?
sign that.
Because I'm on the-
Yeah.
John, you put me down as I abstain because I'm on the board and I didn't want to influence one way or the other.
When you get somebody,
Not much you guys can do about it anyway.
no.
Okay, while we're getting some time to try to explain this to you, before we adopt the county budget, we need to, as we're approving that, if we're gonna approve it, give Jana the authority to go ahead and make the changes
That we,
as we made them
Yeah.
today.
Adopted
Yep.
with the changes.
I'll make that move first, we can do that first, give her the authority to change it before we.
And I'll second.
And we got first and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed?
If you abstain, don't sign it, I guess.
I would guess, oh, it says abstain, I put a check mark there.
Oh, and then you gotta sign it.
So Paul, what do you think? Do you think we should suggest an ordinance on that? Or I've never had. Or should I wait and call George Helton and ask him what we need to do to move forward? Because if you approve,
And we're giving you the authority, so you can probably assign a number
Are
to
you
it
gonna chip
then.
and seal any more this fall?
Getting too
So
cold.
if that,
have you guys signed
so there
this
isn't really any
next
crisis getting it up here
meeting with the
yet?
changes?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Got
just
all
wondering
that
if
to
that
do it.
should be in the motion.
I think that probably would be a really good idea.
What, do we need an motion?
I think we need to retract the last motion and add that we give Jana the authority to sign
To make
the
it work.
amendment. It's really an amendment to the budget.
See, you guys are supposed to sign, like, here's all of the numbers, or the totals for the funds, and then you're supposed to
Yeah.
sign to approve that.
Yeah.
Well, you made changes today, so this number is gonna change.
Correct.
So I think what we need to do is you need to make a motion to adopt the budget with the changes made today. And then I will bring this to you with the new numbers at your next meeting, or if we need to have one.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Let's not have it.
I move we adopt the
Let's do it at
budget
the next
as.
meeting if all possible.
Okay, I wanna say November 4th is the last.
Hate to sign
I'll
a
have to
check
figure
before
out
somebody
what's
writes
the
a
last
number
meeting.
down.
So, yeah, I just
We're
was wanting to
adopting
authorize her
this
to
with changes.
make
I think
these
that's
changes.
okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're
That's
meeting
what we need.
on Wednesday, won't we, in November, because election day?
Right,
Yeah, but if we can, let's not have a special meeting.
okay. So somebody wants to make that
I move we adopt it
with the change.
with the changes. You write the dang thing down so it's proper.
Well, that was what,
But I just move we adopt it.
Okay, we have a motion, first motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Will, are you keeping up?
All them in favor, raise your right
This means,
hand. All them opposed, the same.
All right.
so this means we're gonna sign,
Are we adjourned?
we're gonna sign that, and she's gonna make the changes,
She's gonna make the changes.
and then we'll sign
Then
that.
we'll sign.
Good?
Very good,
Good.
yes.
Okay, there being no more, we're adjourned.
No,
Thank
not
you.
really, but that's, it's
Janet,
as good a
did you have
place